review of Winning with People by John C Maxwell. And in today's review, we are going to be learning the situation principle. Have you heard that before? The situation principle. And this principle says, never let the situation mean more than the relationship. Never let the situation mean more than the relationship. That is to say, your relationship is far more important than any situation, or any in quotes. We know that there are some exceptional cases, but in most cases, any situation that may occur, it is more rewarding to resolve a situation than to dissolve a relationship. So the question I must ask myself is this: do I sometimes put situations ahead of my relationships? Right. So let's also ask ourselves this: what would you do if you had the opportunity of a lifetime to fulfill your dreams, to rise up and take your place among the elites in your profession, to become a champion? And what if only one person stood between you and your goal? Would you make the best of the situation, or would you seize the moment? What if the one person in your way was your sister? Now let's talk about the sisters act. We're going to be talking about Serena Williams and her sister Venus Williams. If you are familiar with the game of table tennis, you probably would have heard these names: Serena Williams, or maybe her sister, or both of them. But even if you are not familiar, maybe by chance you've heard their names before. Both of them were professionals in the game of table tennis. Growing up, their father, in fact, before they were born, their father, Richard, one time when he saw the televised image of a women's tennis champion at the 1978 French Open receiving a large check, right, he decided that if he and his wife had any more children, they would become professional tennis players. And so in 1980, Venus was born, and in 1981, Serena Williams was born. And just when they were children, very young, in fact, at the age of 4, their father started taking Venus to the games of tennis, training her and all of that, because he wanted to fulfill that dream in his children. And a year later, when Serena was born, by the time she was also old enough to start training to become a table tennis player, their father did not waste any more time. And thankfully, both of them did very well in their games. They became globally renowned, for tennis. They became champions. And for the first time, I think sometime in 1999, they had to play against each other. And Venus beat her younger sister, Serena, and she had to tell her, "Oh, I'm so sorry for taking you out. This is sports. I just had to do it," and things like that. And before they knew it, they started playing against each other. They started competing against each other. And in October 1999, less than a month after her 18th birthday, Serena finally did it, because she once said to herself that she was going to become a champion. She said that she wanted to reach the heights of her career, and she saw her sister Venus as her biggest competition. Right, she saw her sister as the biggest competition. So they played against each other, and before they knew it, Serena Williams, the younger sister, started defeating her elder sister Venus. And what happened? What did all of this competition do to their relationship? Because both of them started doing well, but before they knew it, the younger sister, Serena Williams, started outshining her elder sister. So what did this do? Did they develop bad blood and come to hate each other? The answer is no. Just as they had, since they just as they were since they were children. Oh my God. This English is messing with my brain. Just as they've been doing and relating with each other since they were kids, they carried on with that relationship. And her sister, Venus, said never, that she would never allow any competition, any sports to come between her and her sister. You know, even at a point when Serena had to skip the Australian Open in 2004, her elder sister Venus talks about how much she missed Serena. So these two displayed the situation principle. They showed that the situation should never make you destroy the relationship. If it were to be another sister in the place of Venus, she might have developed bad blood to say, oh, she's my younger sister. Why is she defeating me? She's supposed to allow me win the game. You know, having some form of entitlement mentality. But that did not happen because they realized that family comes first. No matter how many times we play each other, says Serena, nothing will come between me and my sister. Not fame, not fortune, not professional rank. They didn't let any situation mean more than their relationship. What about you? Because Venus and Serena did not choose to be sisters. Most of them don't get to choose our siblings. We don't get to choose our family members. So if you and your sibling happen to be competing in the same sport, and your sibling happens to win the sport, to defeat you, how would you feel? Are you going to feel terrible? Are you going to feel hatred towards your sibling? This should not happen, right? But we can choose whether to nurture or neglect our family or our relationships. We can choose that. We don't choose our families, but we can choose whether to nurture our families or to neglect our relationships. Let's face it, every family has someone who stretches the relationship. Somebody who is like a black sheep in the family. The person just disturbs everybody. The person just brings trouble with him or her. But how we treat that person is our choice. We can choose to treat the person as an outcast. We can choose to treat the person with so much hatred. Many people expect relationships to be smooth sailing, but it is not always like that. We're going to be silly to think this way, right? Every relationship, whether family relationship or whichever, is like a marriage vow. Have you heard of marriage vow before? If you are married, you have probably taken one where they will say for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, in riches and poverty, in this and that, till death do us part, right? That is a lifetime vow to say nothing can separate you, not poverty, not sickness, nothing. It is only death that can separate you and your spouse. That is the marital vow. How I wish that we actually stay true to this marital vow. I'm very, very sure that we'll have a very low rate of divorce in our world today. But marriage vows assume that life is difficult and situations will occur that can cause separation. It could be sorrow, it can be poverty, sickness, and challenging times. But the question is, when the tough times come, because they will surely come, what will be more important to us? Is it the relationship or is it the situation? Your spouse is going to offend you. They're going to do something that you don't like. At that point, which one do you value more? Is it your relationship, your marriage, or is it the situation? Are you going to pack it up within the twinkle of an eye without even thinking twice? Take a moment to think about your relationships. Now look at the following list. I'm going to say out the list and then determine which words best describe your relationship. Volatile versus steady. Deceitful versus open. Is it selfish or mature? Draining or refreshing? Insecure or secure? Manipulating or accepting? Conditional or unconditional? Breaking or bonding? Which of these words best describe your relationships? Or maybe the most important relationship in your life, your marriage, right? So make the decision first. Successful people make right decisions early and they manage those decisions daily. So make the decision first to say that whatever happens, I am going to be very quick to forgive. I am going to save this relationship. We are going to walk through this together. So keeping a relationship is a decision that you have to make. Relationships break easily because people do not make this important decision. They are not committed enough to that relationship. In fact, some go into relationships, especially marital relationships, with the mind that, well, if things don't work out, I'll just pull out. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to sacrifice my head for anything. If he behaves himself, fine. If she doesn't behave, I'm out. That is the way it is. If you go into a relationship with that mindset, any little situation, tough situation, it may not even be tough. Any little situation that looks tough, that wants to rock your relationship, will make you to quickly pack it up. And it should not be. There is an exception to this, and it is abuse. We know that when it has to do with life and death, you have to run for your life. But the truth is that so many marriages that result in divorce and all of that, what people call abuse or call irreconcilable differences, is not really what it is in some cases, right? Most of them do not involve abuse. For many of them, it's just ego that gets in the way. It's just pride. It's just impatience, or thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Oh, let me go and get married to my secondary school lover, and things like that gets in the way. So how can you keep the how can you keep the relationship above the situation? You don't have to violate the situation principle. Right. Don't abandon your situation. Instead, stay around. There are some people that don't abandon the situation actually, but they even stay around to damage it. They won't go anywhere, but they will know that, we are not going to divorce because what will people say? But then they become very toxic. They do everything to frustrate their partners, right? So anytime a person puts the situation ahead of the relationship, it is due to one reason: loss of perspective. So how can you keep your situation in proper perspective? Number one, ask yourself, do I see the big picture or the bad picture? If somebody does something bad to you, one particular situation, do you focus on that bad situation, or you look at the entire being to say, after all, this is just one mistake out of the many good things that this person has done? If your child comes home with bad grades, are you going to destroy the child to say, oh, why did you come home with bad grade? No, you're going to look at the big picture, that this is my child. This child is not always like this. Maybe something has happened this term or this session. You're not going to throw away the baby with the bath water. So always look at the picture. Always consider the other good deeds of this person. Don't zoom in on that one mistake that they committed. Number two, ask yourself, do I communicate the big picture along with the bad one? If your child comes home with bad grades or does something very terrible, you can beat the child, you can discipline the child, punish the child. But at the same time, you have to also let the child know why you are doing that. You explain to the child, I'm doing that because I love you. So even as you communicate the bad situation, don't forget the big picture. Let the person see the big picture. If your spouse has done something bad and you have to scold him or her, let them know that it is because you value the relationship. That the scolding is not targeted at their person to destroy them or to bring them down or to ruin them. No, it is because you are doing your best to save your marriage. So let people know as you communicate their mistake. Let them know that, oh, you would really appreciate if they can avoid a repetition. Let them know how much you love them. Don't forget that. Put the situation into perspective. Then number three, ask yourself, is this a one-time situation or an oft-repeated one? If it is a one-time situation, it is a mistake. Forgive and let go. We've learned before. Once you forgive the person, don't bring up the issue again. Anytime there is a fight, don't remind them that, that was how you did 2 weeks ago. Was that not how you lost money? Was that not how you made a terrible investment? with the family finances 5 years ago. Now you are doing it again. No. Once you forgive them, let it go. But if it is something that happens over and over again, then you have to sit down with them and work out a solution. Don't forget that both of you are in that relationship and you are also in the situation together. So help them find, is it a bad habit? Is it something they are struggling with? This is where you come in. This is where you really show that you love them. So you work towards a solution together. If your husband is always making poor financial decisions, you are not going to leave him to say, oh, it's your problem. It is going to affect both of you, except you don't value that marriage again. So you have to sit down, get help. Maybe you have a mentor that you can talk to help you talk to your husband if you have done your best. Then you also have to keep them in your prayers and things like that. Because at the end of the day, both of you are in it. His failure is your failure. Her errors are your errors. Both of you are one. Don't forget. And it doesn't have to be in a marital relationship. It could be any relationship that you value so much. You want to see how you can help a friend to overcome whatever struggles that they are dealing with. Then number 4, ask yourself, do I make too many situations a life or death issue? If something happens, do you escalate it, exaggerate it, overreact? Make it feel like, you have done something so terrible, you must be a devil, and things like that. Do you make it like a life and death situation, life or death issue? You don't have to do that. If you are always upset, you are always tensed, anytime something happens, it means you are making it a life or death situation. Calm down. Remind yourself that we all make mistakes. It could have been you. So you don't have to be upset over every little thing. When your children make mistakes, you don't have to beat them, slap them, hit them. What you are telling them is that they are not supposed to make any mistakes in their life. And that indirectly means that they are not human beings. They are human beings. If you have teenage children, just like the example written here, they will frustrate you. They will do things that you don't like. Sometimes you'll be wondering that, hey, is it that you have failed as a parent? Is it that you are not doing enough? It is not so. It is the age that they are going through, that phase of their life. So don't be tensed all the time. Sometimes just laugh. Sometimes just say, oh, Father, take control. Sometimes just walk away and go and cool off somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to overreact. And at the end of the day, you do things that you don't like. Then how often do you raise your voice when talking to other people? It means that you don't value that relationship. You're allowing the situation to get to you. Then how frequently are you battling for your personal rights or for what is right? You always want to prove a point. You always want to win every argument. Sometimes you have to choose your battle. Choose your battle. There are times you have to let things slide. Let it go. There are times you just have to play the fool. In a marital relationship, they will say one person has to be the sheep if the other person is a goat. In order for that relationship to be successful, both of you cannot be goats. Both of you cannot be stubborn. Both of you cannot be claiming rights at the same time. Then lastly, do I show my unconditional love during difficult moments? Somebody can offend you, but still you let them know that you love them. You may express your displeasure in the things that they have done wrong, but still show them unconditional love. Don't be so mean. Don't be so cruel, because that situation will come and go, but they will never forget how you make them feel. They will never forget the terrible words that you said to them in their most difficult moments, especially if they are truly repentant, right? So show unconditional love. Realize that everybody faces difficult situations. Although not everybody handles it well. So make sure you do your best to handle it well. If you are able to communicate your love to those closest to you in the midst of pain or difficulty, then you greatly increase the stability of that relationship. They've done something wrong, but still show them love, right? Tell your children, even though you've done this, I love you. You will always be my child, Whatever happens, don't forget that I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. I love you so much. Imagine saying that to any child. That child will grow up with a high self-esteem. That is the truth, right? All right, that'll be all for the situation principle. Yes. And I really hope that you're going to apply this principle to your relationships. Don't allow the situation to mean more than the relationship. All right. Thank you so much. Kindly like this video, share your comments with me, and please subscribe to this channel in case you're yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. I'll come your way again tomorrow by God's grace as we review the Bob Principle, B-O-B, the Bob Principle. All right, it's going to be another interesting review. Until then, be intentional. You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye. Good night.